back. The backbone's connected to the hip bone. The hip
I'm
bone's
talking to
connected.
Cathryn Jakobson Ramin, and I am Jules Older. And we're talking about her new book, Crooked. A phrase you love, Cathryn, is the best posture is the next posture. Tell us about that.
That's true. Can I move?
Yeah, I can do that. No, I'm going to too.
See? Don't you feel better now?
I do.
Okay, so the best posture is the next posture. You know, we've been trained to sit at a 90-90-90 position while sitting at a computer, right? It is because when typewriters were first invented, it took a tremendous amount of force to hit
Sure.
the keys. And this was considered the position in which you could exert the most force. So that is how it came to pass that we were to sit at desks like this, stock still like this, and type. And that's no longer applicable. First of all, our devices go with us everywhere. So there is no need necessarily to have a desk and a chair and glue yourself to it.
And in the economy on the airplane, you just can't anyway.
I mean, I've found that when I try to get up and walk around in the airplane now, I get the worst looks from the flight attendants. I often explain to them that I've written a book about the back pain industry, and I will be doing squats in their galley, whether they like it or not, you know?
Hurt doesn't mean harm. What's that about?
We've been trained to understand pain as dangerous. It makes sense. You go to
Absolutely.
the stove and unfortunately you grab that pot handle that you forgot is hot, and there's good reason to avoid that. But with back pain it's very different. Hurt does not mean harm in the gross majority of cases. There will be some pain involved in recovering your ability to use your body in a natural way because you're very deconditioned, and that hurts. It hurts if you're deconditioned. It hurts if you've decided that you cannot pick up your groceries and carry them. So I've always said that I'd love to see a gym that was completely functionally designed. So you had the trunk of a car, the boot of a car,
Yep.
and the grocery bags. You had a child seat, you know, and you had to get a baby into it. All of the things that we do every day, getting luggage into the overhead compartment. I'd love to see that, because then we could really train people to realize that they can do this, and that hurt is not going to harm them. And that is one reason why it's necessary often to find yourself in the hands of a back whisperer. This is a type of person I describe in the book, a back whisperer who can see to it that you pursue your exercises as stringently as possible, and you don't back off when it starts to hurt, because you have to go through it. You cannot go around it, and you cannot avoid it. There will be some pain.
Let's talk about doctors, who in our society and in most are probably the most trusted group in the society.
Yeah.
They're there when we're in pain, they're there when we're in trouble, they're there when we're dying.
That's right.
But you describe in Crooked a group of doctors who essentially set up a conspiracy, not just within themselves, but in the industry itself, whose best interest is not reducing our pain or our suffering. It's something else. What's going on there?
Well, first of all, I really would like to say that the gross majority of physicians are sincerely good-hearted people who have no intention of harming anyone and who spend a very difficult lifetime trying to do the best medicine they can. There are certainly examples in my book of physicians gone completely mad who are referring patients to hospitals and getting kickbacks, who are working on developing products for device manufacturers, and then they are executing the clinical trials for those to get them through the FDA, and they're not necessarily being honest.
You know, my Porsche needs an upgrade.
Yes, there are definitely surgeons in this book who do say that, who are in it for making lots and lots of money, indescribable amounts of money.
Yeah.
But I want to make it very clear that that is certainly not the majority.
there was a survey of 100 back doctors, and they were asked the same question, which is, would you get spine surgery? How many of them said yes?
One. It wasn't quite as you describe it, but
Describe
one.
it
It was
accurately.
how many of them would have a single level lumbar vertebral fusion?
Oh,
How
well,
many?
that clears that up. Thank you.
One level, and all but one said that they would not proceed.
The implication that I took was that there were many more than the one in the survey who were doing the procedure than would take it.
Oh, for sure. Most spine surgeons would not be sending their mothers in for this procedure.
Yeah. Cathryn, this may be terribly personal, but you were seduced on an airplane and the results were not good. Do you care to share this?
It wasn't as fun as it sounds.
Doesn't
I
sound
have
fun.
to tell you. Before I began the book, I was dealing with my own back pain, and I had been dealing with it in one way or another from the time I was about 16 years old.
Okay.
And when my children were born, it got worse. And when my first book was published and I was on the road doing speaking engagements for about 18 months, it was excruciating. I loved doing the speaking engagements, but I was up there clutching the podium for dear life because my leg and my hip and my back hurt so much, and getting weaker and weaker. I didn't know why. Never occurred to me it was because I hadn't been using this set of muscles at all, and I was just desperate. I was on an airplane to Philadelphia, and I opened up an airline magazine, and I saw one of those ads, I think we all seen them, where they've got this really good-looking woman going down a beach, and she has a little tiny Band-Aid. I mean,
And
she's
a beautiful smile.
wearing a bikini,
Oh, she was
mind
that
you,
too, yes,
you know,
yes.
and she's got this tiny Band-Aid, and she looks like she is on vacation. And I read the copy, and it said, we use the most sophisticated tools, and it's, very short procedure, and there's no scarring, and there's a tiny little incision. It's just nothing, and you'll be out taking a walk that afternoon, and you could be on the beach or playing golf. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is amazing. Now, I am an investigative reporter, right? I am skeptical at all times. 100% of the time, I am skeptical.
But you're in pain.
But I'm in pain. And when people are in pain, they make remarkably bad decisions.
Amen.
I got online, I Googled this organization, and a few days later they said, you know what? You are a candidate.
You're perfect.
And I thought I had won the lottery, but ultimately they were good people.
I didn't read them as good people.
They
I
were.
read this book, Cathryn. I didn't see them good.
The people who worked there could not have been more lovely. It was like being at a country club. And I didn't realize that this was all part of the sales pitch.
Thus the question for me about what makes them such nice people, because I read that with horror.
I talked to one of the physicians a great deal, and then I was at an event where his wife appeared, and I was chatting with her. She said, I have terrible back pain. I said, oh my gosh, you do? I said, why don't you have the surgery? And she said, no way, my husband would not allow it. I thought, okay, this woman has back pain and her husband will not let her have this surgery. I guess he knows that it's absolutely bogus and it won't solve her problem.
Yeah.
It was a sorry situation. It really was.
Let me turn to what may not be a sorry situation. We have an 85-year-old friend who has had serious back problems. Her current solution, which is only a part of her solution, is marijuana. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that?
As I say, if that really works, and medical marijuana is legal in the place that you are obtaining it, that's great. Let's be sure that the person who needs to live a life, let's make sure that person gets out and does something that is actually going to help solve this problem, not simply mask the problem. A Band-Aid is not going to fix it,
Thank you, Cathryn. And thanks for having a look at this book. I can't remember a book I've recommended as highly as this to as many people. The book is Crooked, and this is the author. Cathryn,
you.
really good to see you.
I loved it.
Baby.